Rec Trades. What have you learned by actually doing it? So nobody in all of this B-roll footage went to school for this. No lecture hall, no syllabus, no degree hanging on the wall. Just a Saturday morning, a stage that isn't built yet, and about 6 hours until people started walking in to see the headliner. Somewhere along the way, we stopped treating college like a path, and we started treating it like the path. The only legitimate one, the only one that counts. And I think that quietly convinced a whole generation that if you're not sitting in a classroom, you're not really learning anything. Some of the most valuable skills in the world are actually taught in the real world, not from a textbook. They can only be earned by doing the actual thing, messing up and doing it again until you stop making that mistake. That's not a lesser way to learn. It's just a different one than out of a textbook. And for a lot of people like me, it's the one that actually works. Trial and error. There's a reason apprenticeships are one of the oldest forms of education in human history. Before there were universities, there were craftsmen, master craftsmen, and young people who learned by standing next to them, handing them tools, and slowly earning the right to hold the tools themselves and wield it. Some people can read a manual and understand it instantly. Good for them. I'm not one of them. But most people, I would argue, most people actually learn by doing something with their hands, getting immediate feedback and adjusting and learning through their mistakes. You don't learn to run sound by reading about frequencies. You learn it by standing behind a board, doing a live set, hearing feedback screech through the speakers and never wanting to hear that ever again. That mistake teaches you faster than a whole semester could because it's real. There's an audience. There's a band trusting you. Consequences, real stakes, something that actually depends on you getting it right immediately. Like a video game. If you do the wrong thing, guess what? You're dead. There's a real consequence there. And that's what people need. They don't need to wait a week to get their paper back and say, oh, I guess I did a bad job. Our education system is built on the 1920s and factory workers. So I want to show you a video of me and my buddy Edgar. We went to college together, and we really are almost anti-college now. Now, I hate saying that, but honestly, we both are entrepreneurs, and we've had a lot of talk about starting a podcast together, a lot of talk about college, and we're so passionate about helping younger people find their purpose and find what they should do in the real world with each other, with a community. And so we're going to switch over to that conversation, and we're going to discuss all sorts of things from college to him talking about AI because he owns an AI company. So here's that conversation. I feel like anybody can really start their own company now with AI because it's like you can have a logo in 30 seconds. Everybody's AI logos are kind of bad though. But I mean, there's some good ones, but most of the time you can tell.
Have you seen mine?
Yours looks like you. It looks like your evil mustache and what's that guy from Sonic the Hedgehog, dude?
Knuckles, man. Look, I think it's so hilarious. I ran it by a few test groups, and I only had one that looked like me. The rest were like different looking. I guess it would have been pretty generic looking.
So glad we finally are making this happen, Edgar. We've been talking about doing this podcast for years, essentially, talking, because it all started with the Belmont slogan. We're both Belmont alum. The slogan of how's it go?
Yeah, I remember I called you up and was talking about the concept of from here to anywhere.
From here to anywhere?
And it's a very fun place to jump because what you end up having right there from here to anywhere is looking at college degrees and then figuring out where did that actually take you? What are you doing today? What are the things that were valuable? What are the things that weren't valuable? Because I think a lot of people are in worlds that their degrees aren't necessarily directly in, but most people wouldn't write it off, right? They would still say, I'm still glad I went to college, but there's
Right.
got to be a way to apply that in a better world that yields
Yeah.
significantly clearer results.
Right. And I like you go to college for a lot of reasons, but the main reason you go there is to get work. And that's where I think the future really lies more in trades and skills that are like, hey, if you come to our school, we have a job for you when you graduate. There's no like guaranteed job when you go to college. Essentially, they just go there and they're selling a dream, man. They're literally selling something that doesn't even guarantee a job at the end of the day. It's just a general thing to do to discover yourself. So that's where it's like, how do young people, 17, 18, discover things without going to college, you know?
I mean, we live in the world of the internet today. There's never been a time where if you want to learn something, you can have almost direct access to it. Um, it used to be the world where information you had to funnel through that lens of college in order to access a certain set of skills, and companies would look at you and be like, all right, this shows me that this person knows how to do this, so they can obviously work for this. But in reality today, I mean, with the internet, it's effectively dismantled a lot of the need, right, for
Right.
an attendance in a place with a theoretical degree. But what's interesting? I'm 32 years old, Tim.
Right.
Okay, and I've got skills. All right, I like to think I have some skills.
You got skills, of
That
course you
being
do.
said, when I look at guys and I'm like, geez, dude, I need some help on my car, or I'm looking at something and I'm like, this is a skill set I wish I would have invested more in as a young man to
Hmm.
apply those today, because the guarantee of trade school jobs is that too many people are like me in the millennial world right now, where if you either were in an office, the generation before us, especially the ones prior to that, most men knew how to work on their cars. Most men knew how to do
Hmm.
like most of it was practical, like hands-on.
Hmm.
Um, Today, a lot of it doesn't make it any less real, but when push comes to shove, there's definitely job security in tasks that people haven't
Right.
spent their craft honing in on.
Yeah. And what I'm always saying too is even if you learn something and you don't end up doing that, you can at least lower your expenses because you know how to do that and you don't have to pay somebody to do it,
Yeah.
you know? But like there's a lot of things I've learned. It's like, well, I don't want to spend my whole career doing this, but at least I don't have to call somebody to I don't know, work on various things or yeah, it's really really handy to know. And then there's this whole like idea of like doomsday now with like AI and robots taking over the world.
Look, I went to a business expo 2 Fridays ago, man, in our town, and with a group helped start called Core Empowerment. And so you got a lot of businesses there. People are coming by and talking, and once one woman walks by me, she goes, sir." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." AI is of the devil. You work for Satan. I was like, "Oh, snap." Right? And I was like, I was taken, but I was trying not to
Isn't it because the
crack up,
Pope
but because
didn't the Pope
genuinely I
like
was just like,
didn't the Pope like anti-endorse AI?
we'll move on for now. No, we can come back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much we can talk about on the AI side, but let's focus on literally college for now because that's kind of where we were. So, one, we could talk about our college experience. Two, we could talk about everything college didn't teach us that we had to learn on our own.
Yeah.
Like, what if we start there? Like, what did you have to do? Like, learn by doing instead of going through an education system.
Right. Well, for me, education, it's a school of knocks, right? You learn a lot more when you're out on the street.
Mm.
Um, so a hungry wolf will hunt. I
Mm.
just think there's just some people who aren't hungry enough,
Mm.
right? Some people are just satiated by, you know, I can get by and that's good.
Right.
But if you're hungry enough, you will find ingenuity. Um, or at least you're going to
That's
try in
good.
pursuit of something.
Right.
So for me, it was learning to be autodidactic, how to be a self-learner, um, and just go out on a limb.
What did you study in school?
I in school at Belmont, I got a degree in entertainment industry studies with a minor in marketing and music business. Then I
Wow.
got my master's in divinity from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary.
That's right. I
So looking
forgot you got
at
your
yeah,
master's.
what you see on stage is an amazing reality,
Mm.
but there's also a lot. There's also a bill on the other side of that as well that you have to
Mm.
pay, and there's a lot of it where you just if you have the ability to get whatever you want, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a grab away because they'll bring it to you,
Mm.
especially if you're an artist. How often can you say no before you start saying yes? So then you have temptation and breaking in.
People are always seeking purpose. They're always seeking, why am I here? And they're trying to seek fulfillment. And so you go to concerts, and what I love about them is they bring people together, but you're trying to find that fulfillment. And there's so many voids that you can try to be like, oh, this is what makes me feel good, in so many different ways. And that in itself is a trap, yes. But especially with musicians, man, because artists so many times are looking for the next thing. They're the ones that are creative and really progressing the world, whether people know it or not. Artists really shape so many cities, and then it's all the rich corporations that come in and taint what once was a cool artsy place. Um, but
Yeah.
there's so much to try to pursue in life. And so once you finally reach it as an artist, I think this is what you're saying. Once you finally reach that place, then it's like, well, how long on the road can you ignore an open bar at every venue you play at 5 days a week? Right.
So it's like, what is the actual metrics of a successful life? If you can marry the stage with the reality of your life and you haven't compromised too much in that exchange, I mean, isn't that where the identity of a person's actually, people can see that and be like,
Sure.
ah,
So do you feel like your degree got you to where you're at now, or like what are your general thoughts on uh I guess looking back at the past? Are you glad you went to Belmont? Are you glad you got this degree? Or do you feel like the majority of it was, if I could have gone back in time, I would have done it differently, kind of a thing?
this is a unique answer because I'm going to give you a pro and a con to that question. All right. The pro, because, and keep in mind, actually, so I'm a college professor as well. I'm on my third semester as a
Are you
college
really?
professor. Yeah. And my goal in this semester, it's like an intro that every kid has to take. And so in it, I
Right.
challenge a lot of them in the pursuit, and I tell them day one, I'm like, look, I'm hoping that some of you will drop out by the end of this class because not everyone needs to be here. Some of you need to be investing in trade schools. Some of you may be driven in a different direction. College is useful and it's
Mm-hmm.
good for a specific niche and group of people. So I'm not going to destroy the whole system, but most of it's ugly right now. So the whole thing needs to be not the whole thing. There's good things because, like I say, I'm pro because I loved going to Belmont.
Yeah.
Right? We met there. And
Right.
the reason I loved Belmont wasn't necessarily the education, it was the
Mm.
connections
Right.
with people, the connections with your professors, some of them, right? Because some of them,
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of experience with that, right?
Mm.
Like with Billy Contreras and all kinds of
Yeah. I
folks
mean,
who've been
so
professors.
many amazing musicians passed through Nashville alone, but then, yeah, to be mentored from people that are literally virtuosos best in the world. Yeah.
And that's the word. Maybe that's what's good about the college experience is that it's the thing that it has that we remember about it are the mentor moments,
Yeah.
right? The moments where you're either made friends with someone that you're going to do life with, or those mentor moments where you either have a professor or someone around you in that situation that cares and knows more than you,
Right.
and they inspire you to better things. Um,
So I love
but
that.
aside from that, the education part is expensive.
I love the mentoring thing cuz I really feel like that, like you said, is the most important part. And so Trek trades the apprenticeship essentially. The idea is you can supply these mentors because when you say college is meant for some people and it's not meant for others, like I encourage you to drop out of my class, and not only drop out of my class, drop out of school. That's a big statement. And I feel like for musicians in particular, going to college 100% is not a necessary thing. But when you're 18 years old, you really want not only stellar mentorship, but you want to have companionship and like belonging and meet new people and, go to a party and run into somebody and find somebody that you're going to marry. Like, yeah. So it's an amazing place for that. And so how do you create that culture outside of college has been my question for, 7 to 10 years now. And I really feel like here, what I'm trying to do is create this culture of like a crew to where people come together and they can learn various things and work festivals and work concerts. But that's to the future, not to the past. So if we look to the past, though, we can see kind of into the future. So what niches do you think are important and necessary to go to college, or is it more just about the personality?
You should only go if your degree requires it of you.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then I would say you pursue the build, like either get a part of community or build community. Because it's in community and find someone to be like mentoring you.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone should be mentored. And if you're wanting to do
Yeah.
something, then you can go out and find somebody in that field. Ask a bunch of different people.
Right.
Um, watch a lot of videos. Start to create your own stuff and fail.
Right.
Get used to failing.
Yeah.
That's
That
it's
makes
not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's worse if you don't try.
Very true. And I mean, just a cost benefit analysis
Yeah,
alone.
that's the
It's
main
like
thing. It's the
if you're,
cost. It's like
because I understand if you get a full ride or you have, your parents have been like saving for it or whatever, trust fund, whatever. That's maybe okay. So there's zero cost. So I can go and essentially do what I want for 4 years. And it does take some of the pressure off of you then instead of jumping right into adulthood reality. And you get to move. That's another huge thing is you leave home. You leave the nest. Because so many kids I know are just like sitting at home still with their parents because it makes more sense financially. And then it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's sad, but there's not as much drive and passion that I see in people.
no. You build drive and passion when the people around you expect something of you. Like when you have people around you and you start saying the things you're going to become and like you say those like they like I'm making a withdrawal today, an early investment on me tomorrow so that I
Mm.
can live up to that because there are people that are expecting that of me.
Right. And in this gig economy, I mean, sometimes I hear like teenagers are making more money than their parents on YouTube and stuff like this. And it's crazy to like think you can be starting 14 years old, and really start a company and then grow into something by the time you're 18, you can have money to move out of the house. And there's so much you can do with AI and technology that you don't really need to be waiting on like, well, I need to learn this before I go. So if you were 18 right now in 2026, do you think you would go get a entertainment industry degree and move to Nashville?
Never. No, absolutely not. And I know you know this already. Look, when I can create my own music now, and I can
Mm,
actually bring the things from my mind into, yeah, look, you straightened.
yeah. Edgar wrote a evil song about me and how I have terrible posture.
The
Oh my
hunch
goodness,
crunch,
I
dude.
just
My
grew
kids
a
know you. Dude, I know. Oh my gosh, look, a little skeletally.
Yep. Oh my goodness. So you live in a little small town,
Yeah,
but I thought there were like a bunch of Amish people.
there are. Look, I do live amongst the Amish,
So
and so
what's
it's
it
like I'm
like?
thinking the county.
Okay, so one end of the spectrum is AI. It's so great. Anybody can have their own business, have their own logo, have their own website in seconds. Go be an entrepreneur. You don't need to go to college. On the other side, it's some people don't have any technology and they're living like it's 200 years ago and they're doing fine. So, what's it like living by a bunch of Amish people?
There's a certain conversations they're just gonna go very differently, and it's hilarious. It's actually really funny. I know a lot of them that actually have cell phones. They're just in disguise.
Cell
Um,
phones in
yeah,
disguise in the Amish.
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. They don't.
Breaking news here, folks.
Hey, look, I love it, and perhaps a good answer for it is both sides are still needed. Absolutely, and you have to ask yourself, what do you want to get out of life, right? Um, you can start a business and you can spend a whole lot of time doing these different things to make money and do it fast, but for what purpose, right? Um, because in my mind, if you can run a business and then automate that business and it still turns a profit for you, then
Mm-hmm.
you can do that with another idea and another idea.
Mm-hmm.
As you're going about pursuing those ideas and those goals, um, you're growing as a person. You get to invest in those relationships, right, that are around you.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a very transforming process. So,
I remember some moments where apprentices were given real responsibilities and had to actually talk to people. And you could tell they were uncomfortable, handing out brochures, selling t shirts, or just, helping move sound equipment. And afterwards, they realized that some responsibility lied with them. And something changes when you give somebody actual tangible responsibility, not just some busy work like an intern, not a practice version of the job, but it's just something that needs to get done with me and actual people counting on these things that need to get done. Confidence doesn't come from being told you're capable. It comes from proving it yourself in a moment where it actually matters. That's not something you can fake. It's not something a classroom can fully replicate. So let's get specific. What does this actually look like? Every apprentice rotates through real roles on a real crew. Let me walk you through them. So there's live sound. This is really important for music festivals. There's the role where mistakes sometimes are the loudest, literally. You're learning how to set up mics, run a soundboard, read a room in real time. A crowd tells you everything if you know how to listen to it. Then there's lighting. So another huge thing we're focused on, other than live experiences, is content creation and filming. Filming the show, it's just as important to edit it afterwards. And this is the role that turns a single Saturday into content that lives for months and gives apprentices more work to do. Every apprentice who touches this role leaves with something real for their portfolio. And this portfolio is marketing material. Somebody has to actually get people to show up with flyers, with social media posts of the video that we caught, behind the scenes content. This role teaches you that a great show nobody hears about doesn't matter. We need people to show up. There's so much that goes into festivals: stage timing, artist hospitality, scheduling, communication, problem solving when something inevitably goes wrong 5 minutes before doors. None of these jobs are even fake. They're actual roles that make a professional event happen. The only difference between our apprentices and a paid touring crew is time and reps. Just like you're working out. That's the whole point. You don't start out repping 225. You got to start with the smaller weights. You don't simulate the job. You do the job. One step at a time at a smaller scale with someone experienced next to you until you can do it on your own and you get hired for the gigs. And there's an old idea, I think about it a lot when I look at this building the Harmony. Before there were 4-year degrees, there were guilds. Groups of craftsmen, blacksmiths, stonemasons, luthiers, carpenters who trained the next generation through a very specific structure. You started as an apprentice. You started as the weak one, and you worked under somebody who was smart and already knew the craft. You made mistakes on small things before you were ever trusted with the bigger ones. Eventually, you became a journeyman, skilled enough to work independently. And if you kept going, kept getting better, kept proving it, you became a master. Someone who could train the next apprentice. And that system built entire cities. It built cathedrals. It built bridges. Instruments still played hundreds of years later were built by guilds. And somewhere along the way, we phased out of this apprentice concept of real human connection one-on-one. We replaced it almost entirely with classrooms and certifications, which works great for some things. Trek Trades is a modern guild, an apprentice to a journeyman, to someone who is trusted enough to run a stage on their own or even train the next person coming up behind them. Right now, Trek Trades lives inside live events, concerts, festivals, production. But that's the starting point, not the ceiling. The same idea, real responsibility, real consequences, learning by doing next to someone who already knows how, doesn't just apply to concerts. It applies to carpentry. It applies to winemaking. It applies to mechanics. Any trade where the work is physical and the skill can't be faked. So the guild will grow one trade at a time, one apprentice at a time. And if you spent your whole life studying how things work from the outside, reading about it, watching videos about it, scrolling past it, I'd ask you a question. What would actually happen if you actually helped build the real thing that you've been watching? Don't just study how something works. Help build the real thing. Real life, real human connection through tangible skills and live events. There's so much AI is capable of, but the tangible world is where human hands still matter.
Trek Trades, reviving human connection through tangible skills and live experiences. From concerts to vineyards to remodels, we follow people whose work exists beyond a screen. The future isn't built by watching, it's built by creating. Living a life grounded in real experiences, all in Augusta, Missouri. Trek Trades.